Greetings, and good afternoon, Juneteenth family. Welcome to another weekly edition of our Lunch and Learn.
E is exhaling, having an opportunity to breathe, to rest, to refill yourself and rejuvenate yourself, because no one can pour from an empty cup.
As you evolve and become more of yourself, you begin to attract the people that are there for you.
Amen.
So everything you need is in the space.
You have to learn from your mistakes. Once you make a mistake, sit down, recoup, and then start over. And once you do that, you say, I got that.
See, Juneteenth means to me, I would definitely say empowerment and education.
When I experienced it, like just coming together and, being a part of something bigger than myself,
And a new start, starting a new chapter, opportunity, new beginnings, all of that.
Greetings, and good afternoon, Juneteenth family. Welcome to another weekly of our Lunch and Learn. I'm going to just put out there right now that both me and my guest are a little bit under the weather. So this is most of you who may have been here weeks before. Those of you who have not, this is not my normal voice. Doesn't feel like my normal face. Doesn't feel like anything normal, but this space of Lunch and Learn. So we're here for what we're here for every week, just to share some love, some knowledge, some whatever needs to be shared with the community. And today I have with us, we have Apostle Dr. Meredith Jordan. He's here to talk to us about hearing the heart of people. And this topic definitely sparked my interest, and I'm looking forward to this conversation. So let's bring up the Apostle Jordan, please.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Apostle. How you doing today?
I am nothing less than amazing.
I love it. I loved when you gave me that response, because, the fact that I woke up this morning, I'm breathing at less capacity than normal, but I'm breathing. So, what else could I say? But I'm amazing as well. So it's so good to have you here. I would love for you, before we dive into our conversation, to just share with the community a little bit about yourself, just a little bit about yourself, and then we'll dive more into the conversation of hearing the heart of people.
It's always hard to talk about yourself, especially for me. I'm a father, grandfather, great-grandfather. I just believe in family first. I'm a servant. They call me servant leader, but I'm a servant who just happens to be a leader. That's who I am. I'm a servant who just happens to be a leader. And there's no more to say about me other than that's just who I am. That's my makeup. That's my makeup.
I love it. So, hearing the heart of people, before we dive into the questions that I have for you today, tell us a little bit about what that means to you. What does it mean to you to hear the heart of people, so people can get a little bit of a gist of where this conversation is going today?
Okay. So, hearing the heart of people, I've learned and realized just from myself, and also just in people I encounter, we tend to say we're listening, but we're really not hearing. because the person can have a whole full conversation without speaking a word. And if you can hear the heart of the person, that means you can really tap in and tune to the person to know exactly where they're at, what mental capacity they're at, how emotional they're at, what state of mind that they're physically in at that particular moment. And sometimes that's all it needs, just to hear that person, not to talk to them, but to hear them. And so you'd be able to meet them where they're at.
I like that. I like that. And how did you find yourself on that path? Like being able to even realize that that's a skill or a tool that, can be used to help others?
I guess I would say I'm really not, if you really know me, I'm really not a big talker. And people say, how you're a pastor and you're not a talker. I'm really not that much of a talker. But I'm a great listener. I can hear your conversation even when it's not spoken. I can feel you, I can hear you. So it makes it more easier for me to just be in tune, because I realize that all a person needs is just love. And sometimes it's just that saying good morning. I was on the bus yesterday, my car's in the shop, I rode the bus, and I got on the bus and I said good morning. People looked at me like I was strange. And one lady asked me, why was I so happy saying good morning? I said, but why not? So sometimes people all they need that. And afterwards she said, thank you, I needed that, before she got off the bus. So sometimes that's all a person needs to know, is that they're recognized and that they're heard and they're seen. More importantly, they're seen.
It's so interesting. It kind of reminds me of a man at work the other night, and he was basically kind of just saying to me, that sometimes people just want someone to care.
Yes.
They just want someone to care. And caring doesn't mean coming out of your pocket. Caring doesn't mean like this huge weight off your back. It doesn't mean any of those things that we make things mean when we want to care about somebody. Sometimes caring is just that, saying hello, or even just dropping. For me, in this country that has homelessness that's constantly on the uprise, for me, just saying a prayer walking by somebody is my way of caring. I don't always have it to just give them of my pocket. So it's like, if I can give you a prayer, I know that might take you a lot further than a couple dollars out of my pocket. A couple dollars
exactly.
For this moment, it may get you whatever vice you may have for this moment, but it's not going to be the thing that praying can actually do. Praying can shift the world. Praying can shift all kind of things. We know the mountains that can be moved through prayers. So, so on that note, how did you find yourself on the journey of being a messenger, of being an apostle? And I do have some folks saying good afternoon. I have Lucina Clark is here with us, and Jennifer Roberts says, hi, my Apostle Jay. How did you end up becoming apostle to the folks, to the people?
Well, it was a journey. Not a journey that I seeked out looking for, not a journey that I wanted, that I pretended to have, that I desired to have. I just wanted to, when my former pastor closed the church, I just wanted to go to my mother's church and sit in the second row on the left-hand side. That was my desire. And after that, that's when various people would come in and give me a word and say, and I already knew it. You know how you know things and it just comes as a confirmation. But sometimes we get stuck in ourself or in our head to where that's not me. Because like I said, I'm not a conversationalist. So I'm not like, okay, this is something that I want to do. I don't want to lead people. Because people of various skin tones, they can be difficult. But I realized that everybody needs the voice. Everybody needs someone that they can hear from. And if I say I'm going to be a servant of God, then therefore I have to serve the people. So I had to step into the role just to be there for the people, to lead the people into a place of better. And that's what I'm standing for, getting the person to a place of better. Because everybody's not better. Everybody's not bitter, but everybody needs to get to a place of better. And my better might not be your better, and your better might not be my better. Your better just might be, I don't want to cough today. And if I can say, here, I got some Halls, I got some ginger tea to get you to better, we're going to work it out.
Love it. I love it. So I love that you went to this place of talking about caring for others, because I know I have some questions that are kind of lined up for you that I was pretty excited to see these questions and read different things in your bio, because there are spaces and places that we don't always see our leaders or expect them to show up in. So my first question is, can you tell us about your experience working with the Special Ops Unit for children of FBI agents? Again, sometimes you don't think of roles that people play in life because of their title. And yeah, what was that like? And tell us about that.
That was actually, it was very, very exciting. It took me through various trainings, various tactics, various self-defense tactics, how to spot a terrorist, be more observant, which also helped me in who I am now, because I had to see past what I saw. And it's saying to see past what I saw, meaning just because I'm looking at you and I'm talking to you, I also see that there's something hanging on your wall. But it's not my major focus, but my mind had to be on it. So if I'm observing the children at that particular time, I had to be able to know what was coming in each direction. So it also put me in a place where I was trusted. And if we can't be trusted by that, because these are people who were in positions that people were always, not always, but they were in a position where people would have targeted them. And we want our family to be safe. And in doing so, there's things about that I've learned, that there's secret passages in Manhattan that we had to travel under if there was an emergency. So things like that, it brought me to knowing your surroundings, knowing you better than how you think you know yourself, and trusting your own instincts.
It's so funny. You just took me back to a time and place. I worked for 13 years at a hotel diagonal from the Waldorf Astoria, and we all know that there's the train that takes the presidents out, or well, when that was the regarded hotel of the presidents before it was like sold. It was always one of those things in my mind, and I'm like, so it's not just the subway under here. Like, there's all kind of stuff under this city that people have no idea about.
A city under the city.
That is so cool. So I know that you have a passion for children and like their support of, and how you ended up in that position. How did that come about? And how did you end up in that area of education and doing child services?
I think when I was in the 4th grade, we had to write a report of what you wanted to be, and my thing was I wanted to be a social worker. Back then that was the job, to be a social worker or something in that manner. But I said I wanted to be a social worker, and it stuck in my head. And I did other things leading up to childcare, because my sister, she called me the Pied Piper. If you saw me, there was always somebody behind me. But I believe that children are not just part of our future, but they're part of our now. And if we don't cultivate them now, how can they address our future? Because what they see is what they'll be, and what they see is what they'll hear. And if we're not living or speaking a positive life into them, how can we make a change? How can it be a change if there's not a next generation, a now generation? Because our youth today know more than what we do.
And they're quite, I was going to say, it's so interesting that you look at it that way, because I think that will show up in another 20 years looking very different. Because right now, the ones that we have that are in their 20s, they're kind of upset at those of us that kind of rode the wave of like those 90s, those 80s, where things were like really good financially and people stopped standing up and we started having a lot of fun. And now we're in this place of our children being kind of a 23-year-old young man. And he's just always, it's this energy of like what y'all didn't do. But they're not necessarily equipped to do, because we didn't really show them, like, while they know more than us, while they're are these different things that are there, there's still this energy of frustration that they have, because I have it that it has to do with that cutoff of communication. You know, being a 47-year-old, I'm still coming from that generation of children stay in children's places, all these stories that really didn't serve us, that didn't empower us. And now we're with children that are like voice, they've gotten rid of those thoughts, but at the same time the direction isn't necessarily there. So I think that what you're talking about, to me, in my mind, I have it that it's going to have us in a better place, hopefully.
Yes.
20 years, when now not only are they given a voice, but now they have all the information, they have all the tools, they actually have support. All of that can actually show up and how they're showing up. You know, we have a nice handful though that actually are equipped, that are out there. For me, it's politics, because that's the area that we're needed the most a lot of times. As resistant as we can be, oh, pardon me, as resistant as we can be against having to do it, if we're not there, then what happens? We all see what happens when we don't show up, when we don't speak up. You know, but we have this youth right now that's kind of fired up and walking in those shoes. And I have it, yeah. I love that. I love the empowerment of just connecting and being a connector. And I think they probably hear you the way I hear you, because you said you have great grandchildren.
Yes.
And I literally feel like I'm speaking to someone that's ageless. Like, I don't really see you as an age. I don't feel like I'm speaking to someone that is from any generation. It's almost like I could see how you end up hearing the hearts of those that you need to hear. Because this Juneteenth space is kind of all about empowerment and just like what needs to be done to get us where we need to be.
Yes.
So I love that. I love that you're here with that. So how do you balance your role as a pastor and other professional commitments and being a grandfather, great grandfather, father? Like, how do you wear all those roles, and how do you manage that?
Well, I'm very consistent. What you see now is what you'll see if you see me walking down the street. I don't change. My conversation doesn't change. My talk doesn't change. As being a pastor, I know some people, they say their pastor is their father, and I'm not one to say, okay, I look for that, but there are people that God assigned to me. So they become family, and everyone that knows me, my motto is family first. Family first. If your family's not good, then how can anything else take place? Because it's God, then your family. So if your family's not intact, and my family can be anybody. I met you today, and this sparks a relationship. So in this relationship, it's like, okay, God is adding somebody to my family tree. So because I don't know what tomorrow's going to be, because you might call and say, okay, I need you for this, or I might say, Jamie, I need you for this. There comes a relationship to where we become impactful to others. So putting it all together and treating them all together. I hear the conversations of my grandson. I have more than one grandson, but the one particular grandson, that's my road dog, Emmanuel. So, but there's others that comes into play. Ivan, great grandchild, Dakari calls me every morning just to say, "Hey, Papa." So that jump starts my day. That takes me to a place of, okay, my voice needs to be heard. I need to be heard, and sometimes we get nervous. And it gets stuck. Like even on yesterday, when my daughter, Elder Tiffany, was sending me all the information, I'm like, okay, I really got nervous. I said, why? I don't know. She said, well, why are you nervous? I said, I don't know, but I just got nervous. She said, well, do like you do to us. You talk to us. Yeah. So I believe in having an open conversation, just an open conversation, allowing them to not letting them, the church, to all the way down, allowing them to be themselves, allowing them to speak their hearts, and allowing myself to hear their hearts. Because if I can't hear them and be in a place to hear them, then I'm not beneficial to them, and nor can I be beneficial for them. So that goes back to me just being a servant who is a leader.
Got that. Got that. I love that. So, Ec'Clesia Ministries, let's talk about that and its evolution over the years. What has that looked like? Tell us about where you practice, where people can come and find you, where you're located, all that good stuff.
Ecclesia started before it became a church. It started, actually, this is my 30th year. That Ecclesia, the ministry started. To where we started in the apartment, myself, Pastor Lee, and our 2 children, just taking people in and taking teenagers in that just having troubles with their parents, taking them in, caring for them, showing them love that they thought they was not getting. And I'm glad to say that now they're pastors, they're teachers, they're doctors, and so it started there. And as it traveled, it came to the point where 8 years ago, God said, that's what I wanted, to sit in my pastor's church, Apostle Dr. Patricia Wiley, who's my mother, to sit in her church and just be. But when God said, start Ecclesia, which means called out and set apart. And I realized that God called me out and he set me apart because I'm not like any other pastor. I got the backlash of, why do you do this? Why do you do that? Why you don't do this? If it's a holiday, we'll close the church. And people say, well, how is it a holiday weekend and you closing church? Church is still, but people got family. Church is still going to go on. God is not going to, if I would rather close the church than have this pastor, this member not there, not in position, and me upset because, okay, they're not there when they're with their family. That becomes selfish. And being a leader, we should not be selfish. We should be wanting to push the people, like I said, into a place of better. And if our family's not better, then we can't be better. So that's Ecclesia in the whole. We're built on love. And anybody will tell you, if you come in, you're going to get some love.
I love that. I love that. I was just about to say that's literally what replayed back in my mind when you said that, when you were talking. I said, yeah, because I hear it. It's, you started up at the top with family first and how important family is to you. So that's divine. That's divine. So how's your experience attending Jacksonville Theological Seminar and other seminaries shaped your approach to ministry and how you counsel?
That was a hard one, because it was different. I faced different doctrines that, not that I didn't believe in, but I didn't practice, because I know we all have a certain doctrine, a style that we believe in, but if it wasn't Bible based, or it wasn't Bible based and Bible related, I can explain it to you just as I can explain it to my 4-year-old grandson. So if I can't say the same thing to you and him and get the same understanding, then it wasn't for me. So I had to put myself in a place where I was able to intake and process, and then, I don't want to use the word regurgitate, but to regurgitate it out in a different form.
In your own language. I got that. Wow, that's amazing. I've never actually thought of, like, what does that look like when you're being taught in a certain style, but then, and it's different areas that this comes up for me, especially in the day of a lot more doctors taking on holistic ways of treating patients. So it's almost like, it's not that you throw away all your teachings, you actually have to now work your brain to, like, remix them. Like, you got to remix it, put the remix on it. And if it's anything we're really good at remixing things. So I'm so grateful that you're able to do that for your folks. And I do want to take a moment to actually acknowledge you have quite a bit of people in the chat over here speaking to you, and I'd be remiss to not acknowledge that. So I know we had gone down as far as Miss Jennifer Roberts. So we have Tiffany McKinney says, this is amazing. She's so proud of you. Herbert is watching. Gray Eyes 817 says, Apostle Jordan is a very caring man, always leaves you with a great message. We have a Brooklyn Juneteenth NYC. I like that, getting to a place of better instead of the bitter. And Tiffany McKinney also shared that they can call anytime and talk with you. So folks, if you're out there and you're looking for a pastor, for an apostle, for a church home, for somewhere to worship, you have a place. It seems like this is a definite safe space. So, can you walk us through your journey towards receiving your doctorate of divinity and what it actually meant to you to actually receive that?
It was, for me, it was a push, um, a push and a process, because I had to now dissect and put what I've learned and acquired into a word form and make it a reality. And in that walk, it had me to encounter different people, of different races, of different religious backgrounds, um, and to make it suitable as one. It doesn't matter if you're what religion you are, but we do serve one God, and not to disrespect that practice, but it also put me in a place where, again, I see you and I hear where you're coming from. So let's put a spin on it. So how can I take what you do and what I do and give God glory out of it?
I love that. I love that. So, shifting just a little bit to your own personal experiences in your journey. I know that you've battled and you have conquered here today a form of cancer, that took over your throat. So I have a question, and the question, I actually want to go off of like what's written here for me, because I'm into like metaphysics a little bit. And I would love to know what that meant to you to actually have something attacking the area that you use to deliver your message, which is your throat, our voice chakra, our throat chakra, our center of where we're heard from. What was that like for you, and how did you tackle that?
Um, it it when the doctors first said it, um, it was it was a blow. Um, it was a blow that took me back because, like I said, I'm not one for words, but I've come to realize that my voice is my weapon, and that my sound makes a difference, and that there are people that need to hear me. Um, um, I'm not a great singer, but I'm a soprano. So when it hit me, when the doctor said you wouldn't be able to do this, you wouldn't be able to do this, to stop singing, to stop preaching, that wasn't hitting my mind right. So I said I can't do that. So when in the midst of singing, my voice just stopped, and I stood there and I still mouthed the words out because I still had the determination that what this sound is that God has given me, I still have to get it out. So by any means necessary, it has to move, because the enemy wants to stop you by any means necessary. I thank God that did not stop me even to today. Just 3 weeks ago, I had my last bout of radiation for prostate cancer. So I know that I am an overcomer, and if I can stand before the people and let the people know that there's nothing too hard that God can't do. There's nothing impossible that God can't do for you. So if we stand and trust on him, because he's a healer, and I know who I am, and know your purpose and who God has you to be, to know that like you're here today. If you could have said, Apostle, can we reschedule this? You would have said, I was good. But your mindset was, no, I'm not going to do that. We're going to push past. I'm going to push past this because I know that I am in a place where this is just a temporary setback for what they thought was going to stop me, but could not stop you. And that's the same way. It cannot stop me. And I believe that God made me to be unstoppable.
Ashe. Ashe. And it's so funny that you actually said that, because I'm sitting here and I'm starting to get the hot sweats that come when like the cold wants to release itself, and I'm just sitting here and I'm like, but we're doing this. We're getting this conversation done, and I love it, because when people are looking forward to something at a 12 p.m. every Thursday, and this is what you've been doing, you either have to figure it out and find someone to replace you, or you show up. You don't just not show up, because you're right. When it is part of your purpose and you're showing up as your purpose, then you'll get there by any means necessary. And that's with the grace of God is what I'm calling it right now. With definitely the grace of God. And I'm grateful to have this conversation. I want to talk more about your mentoring and like hearing the heart of people, and how does that show up when you're supporting single mothers, troubled young men, and maybe some young women, who knows, who's coming across, your pathway. How does hearing the heart of others show up there?
Like I said, it goes back to just being able to embrace a person where they at. God has allowed me to live in an area where I'm in a diverse area where there's I have the Bloods, I have the Crips, I have all those in the neighborhood. But when I walk out, I get the response, "Hey, that's Pops. Hey, that's my pastor." And because I don't stop, because I don't turn or frown myself on them, they hear what I say. And so just letting them know that, hey, I'm here. Or let me just say a prayer for you. I don't need to know what you're doing. I don't need to know where you're going. But let me just pray in this prayer and cover you. And it like one said on Monday, I thank you for just accepting me. And she's in the alternative lifestyle, and she said, but I thank you for just accepting me, because my own family doesn't accept me, but you accept me, and you don't give me, oh, I'm going to hell, or I'm going to this. You say your words is always, what did God say? Because it's not for me to change anybody. It's just to give them the word of word of the Lord, and to cover them. So I cover several people just because that's part of my mission. And God has been instilling in me, just be in position for the position. Just being, there's so many people who are in a position, but they're not in a position for the position that they're supposed to be in. And that's how people are getting lost, because it looks good to them, or they think they're doing something, but are you really in a position that you're helping somebody to a place called better?
Ashe. I love that. So if you were talking to someone who may be in a space of resistance, or trying to discern whether they're calling to the ministry or to leadership that has to do with religion, or even, and I'll go even further than that, because I am a healer of different types, and sometimes there's this resistance that comes up for me against just the calling to be that at all times and all spaces. Just sometimes, again, wanting to, I think you mentioned it earlier about just wanting to kind of like, there's a word I'm really resistant to even say, but there's a level of selfishness in there, a level of just not wanting to, and just being resistant. What would you offer to folks like me or others who may have that battle? And this could, again, folks out there, this could be across the board. This could be your calling to teach, your calling to fight fires. It could be your calling to whatever it is. But if it's something that you feel like you're resisting because you don't want to make the commitment or give of yourself, what would you offer to us?
It's funny. I just had this conversation with someone earlier about them not wanting to do anymore. But Jeremiah 29 says, 11, God knows the plan. He knows the plan for your life. So because he knows the plan before you were even born, he predestined and ordained you to be who you are going to be. And there's things that you might not want to do because we look at it. We like you said, we grew up in an era where you didn't do certain things. And certain things wasn't said, certain things wasn't spoke about. But our children and our children's children, they're now in a place where they're more boisterous, they're more opinionated, and we can't stifle them in what they're doing. So if this is a path that you are set on, that God has put into you to do, it's not a matter if anybody likes you, anybody accepts what you're saying, but if this is what you believe in, do what you believe in. Because all things work together for the good of them that love the Lord. And my level might not be your level, and your level might not be my level. But if we put our levels together on the same thing, because we're all working together for one purpose and to one cause, and that's to save much souls alive. And in saving much souls alive, if I can't lift you up, push you. And I will push you to knowing. And if I can't push you anymore, Jamie, I'm going to carry you until you can walk on your own. Because there's things inside of you that still has to come out. There's visions that you still have set before you that you're still trying to figure out. I can't do that. But God said, Jamie, I see I'm going a whole nother. But Jamie, I made the door open for you, and I'm just waiting for you to turn it off and walk through because the door is already open to walk through. So it's not impossible. See, because the impossible is now possible. And what was once impossible is no longer impossible. The impossible part is it's impossible for me to stop.
That part. I received that, and I hope that definitely landed for some others out there that may be in the same position, that may watch this message moving forward. I definitely received that. So, as we start to wind down our conversation today, what are the gems that you would love for the community to walk away with about hearing the hearts of others, about hearing God, and just there's a level of obedience that I hear. Yes. We've always been told to be obedient, but I think visiting that conversation of what we make that means is valuable. I know for me, that's something that I'll be sitting with, just from the words that you delivered to me directly, just sitting with what obedience looks like for me and what I'm making it mean to be obedient. Because I think sometimes in that resistance comes up so many other different things out. Because I'm like, you didn't even address the selfishness. And I like that, because what I heard was there are other things. Sometimes it's wondering what others are going to have to say about your different modalities, about the way that you actually deliver your message, about how you show up in the world. What is it that I'm making obedience mean? Does it mean that I'm going to be ostracized by communities? Just all of that. Like, I'm going to definitely be journaling about that tonight. So that's my gem that I'm walking away with today, though. What are some of the gems that you would like some of the other folks out there to walk away with for themselves today?
To be accountable for yourself, to be accountable for your thoughts, to be accountable for your actions, be accountable for your deeds. And you spoke about selfishness. There's nothing wrong with being selfish, because that comes with self-care. Sometimes we have to be selfish in order to self-care ourselves. Because if I can't be selfish at certain times, then how can I be better, in a better place that I can now help you, and to be able to push you into a place called better, and getting to that point where you can now look at yourself and say, hey, I can do that. I did do that. I did that. I did that. I did that. Because we sometimes look at things that we don't look at things that we've done, because people never give us credit for the things that we have done. So I try to encourage people for the things that they have done, and the things that that God allows me to see in them that they can do. So if you can walk away, if you were to walk away with a gem, just know that you can do all things. There's nothing impossible that you cannot do if that's what you desire to do. See, because God has not built anybody to break. And man tries to break us. But what we have to realize is that if I'm standing accountable for this is who I am, this is what I say God said to me, it's not about me. It's not about me anymore. See, because I realized that God would take care of my needs. He would take care of my wants if I asked him to. Because what I go through, somebody else might be looking at me going through the same thing, but cannot handle it the same way. So can I be a living example and not an example of words? Because words can just play off of the ears and doesn't mean anything. And God has given me a thing a long time ago. It's time for us to hear with our eyes and see with our ears. And what that means is that we can see something, but can you hear it? And you can hear something, but do you see it? You can hear that voice in your head saying, Jamie, this time next year, you're going to be sitting here, but can you see it? And get into a place just to believe in you. Healing you. Healing you. And you spoke about the whole holistic. Yeah, it's a holistic thing. How can you heal yourself? How can yourself be healed if you don't take care of this? Because this function right here takes a play and a toll on everything else that follows behind. So if you see it in your mind and you hear it in your head, and it can be possible. It can be possible. What you desire, that little boy who says, hey, I want to fly a plane. Why can't you? Why can't you? And it just moves on. So that's where the children come into play, because children, they speak from their heart. And they say things just as what they are. The children and the youth in the church, I give them positions. They have positions. I have one who's the vice president. I have one who's the ambassador, and they stand by their roles of the title that they are given, not just because it's a title. And they're 7 and 8 and 9, but they hold to it. So if a child, it comes to where a child shall lead you. What's the example that we're doing? What example are we giving? So my gem is follow me as I follow Christ. But when I stop following Christ, you stop following me.
That part. I love that. And where can the folks find you? I know your information is scrolling across the bottom, but if you could read it out for some who may have difficulty catching it, and also share where they can come in and see you. Actually, they can come worship with you.
We're located on 51 Tapscott Street between East New York and Sutter Avenue, in Suite 1B. We worship on Saturdays at 12 o'clock p.m. Most people ask, why do we worship on Saturday? Are we 7-day Adventists? No, we're not 7-day Adventists. We just keep the Sabbath holy, but we worship on Saturday. We're not a long church, but we're a strong church. We're not large in body, but we're great in value. And I have some dynamic people inside of the ministry. Our Pastor Jimmy, our Pastor Teresa, our Pastor Ray. Those are our associate pastors, our chaplain Patricia, our chaplain Shirley, our prophetess Diane, our evangelist Shakima. That's just to name a few people that are in the ministry that works in the body. You can find us on Facebook at Ec'Clesia Ministries Worship Center, or either myself, Meredith Jordan, as any of those names that I did call out. You can also go to their page and you can tag them in, and they'll give you all the information that you need. Or my administrator, my daughter, Elder Tiffany McKinney. She will, if you hit her, she will follow you to a T. She will get you on point. She will give you every access that you need to know. And we're just that. We're Ec'Clesia Ministries, called out and set apart, healing the hurt I thought I left behind. Because some of us, we have so much hurt that we thought we left behind, but that's not addressed. People say hurt people, but hurt people has to be addressed in order so they can stop hurting themselves, so that the hurt that they felt cannot play on nobody else.
That part, I love it. It's like it's the flip side to me. What I hear is that flip side of you have to love yourself before you can love anybody else. Have to heal yourself before you can heal anybody else. Can't hurt anybody if you're not hurting yourself anymore. I love that, Pastor. Apostle Jordan, this has been an amazing in this space that I'm in right now, just physically, with this cold. This has been healing for me. I can feel movement in the cold that was in my head. I can feel movement in the cold that's like in my sinuses. So just thank you for being here. Thank you for bringing the word. Thank you for just bringing all that you are to this stage today. I do have one question, one last question before you leave us today, and that is exactly what does Juneteenth mean to you?
Um, Juneteenth is family. Juneteenth is unity, coming together just as one body. Um, Not no big eyes, not no little you, but bringing recognition to a people that were overlooked, a people that was not recognized. So recognizing a person for their self worth, their outer worth, just for being that individual. So with Juneteenth, it's paying honor to who we are. And again, we are family, and if we don't see ourselves as family, we can't support family. And that goes back to I believe Keisha asked me earlier about Kwanzaa. We have to come through. My family has been doing Kwanzaa for the over 30 years now, so we have to bring all those things into play, which makes up us. And Juneteenth makes up us. It makes up.
Ashe. Thank you, Apostle Jordan. This
You're
has been
welcome.
an amazing conversation. Again, thanking all your folks that are in the
Yes.
chat.
Thank you.
Why,
Thank you.
Marissa, Monique. Thank you all for being here. Jimmy. Let me go back up. I know there were Tiffany and Andrea Moore. Thank you for being here with us today. We appreciate you. Gray Eyes, Herbert, Jennifer, Lucina. Just thank you all for being here with us today, and being in the space. And feel free to join us every Thursday. And if you have anyone or anyone else that you think has a word for the community about anything that will move us forward, send them our way. We're always looking for other guests to come up and just bless the space. So thank you, Apostle. I appreciate you, and I will see you behind the scenes.
Yes.
All right, community. Thank you for being here with us today. Another great session, and I hope to see you all here next week. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and have a great day. Enjoy your weekend. Blessings to you all.